Hello and welcome. Thank you for tuning in to the Capel podcast, where you can get insights from Capel on navigating the recent trends in our business world. Today, we have with us Kim Tan, head of our very own learning design team here at Capel, to share with us on the topic, learning in light of new norms. Kim, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Mark, for having me.
So, Kim, let's begin with some of your insights and observations. How would you say the way we go about our professional learning has transformed in light of our new COVID norms?
With the COVID situation where everybody, has to keep to safe distancing and work from home, a new transformation has taken place actually. Everyone is more open to online training because we have no choice. Actually, everybody has to meet online.
That's right.
So with that, the things that we've been pushing on the last few years, like doing more webinars and all that, suddenly, it happened just overnight almost. So yeah, this is something that's wonderful. It's not just for us in Capel, but I think in many of the other training providers, we see that happening, not just in Singapore too, but around the world. Yeah. So with that, many changes were needed, both on the trainer side as well as the learner side. And interestingly, people were more adaptable than we thought. People before that, everyone is like, I'm not sure if people can sit for so long. Will we be able to focus? We're not sure how to use the tools. But because there was a need to change during the COVID circuit breaker, everybody just changed, just like that. So yeah, it was quite good change actually for everybody, and we are just more adaptable than we think.
Right.
Just
so
like I said.
It sounds like there was a bit of a learning curve, for both the educators as well as the learners to adapt to this new norm. And what would you say were some of the tools or maybe helpful practices that help people get used to this learning curve or overcome this learning curve?
I think not so much of the tools, but I think the mindset helps. There are so many types of tools available for different things, but the mindset that, we may not be familiar with this right now, but if we fiddle with it a little bit, give it some time, we will get the hang of it. So because of the change in the environment from a classroom to a virtual situation, we can't use the old things like flip charts or whiteboard. We have to come up with new creative ways to use online tech tools that we took a little while to figure out and all that, but I think we are just more creative than we think.
Sure.
And, we adapt to these new tools. So it's wonderful. It's a wonderful experience actually.
So what I'm hearing from you, Kim, is two very key ingredients in terms of mentality. One is you mentioned this kind of fiddling around, this willingness to experiment, right? You may not get it right the first time. And then a second ingredient, right? Absolutely. So a second ingredient then you mentioned is also to realize that we're more adaptable and more creative than we might have initially imagined. So it sounds like the mentality of being willing to try and experiment and being okay to not get it right the first time around, but to persevere is very important.
Exactly. The learners also have to adapt along the way. Many have not used conferencing software before. They have to get the hang of it. We have to teach them. For some learners, they also have to get used to using soft copies of the learner guide, how to annotate, how to take notes, and also to how to interact with others online. It's more in your face now because your face is, right here in the middle of the screen.
Yeah, that's right.
And you have to respond. So so they all have to adapt, and I must say that many have adapted well.
Great. So it sounds like learning in this new norm has brought about many possibilities, but with that also a lot of change. And I think, as you mentioned, there's a lot of change that we have to accompany our learners to get used to these new environments. And maybe you could share with us, because sometimes people get scared by change. So what are some of the benefits and maybe obstacles to look out for to help our listeners be more prepared to take steps into these new normals of learning?
Okay. Let me begin with the obstacles. For I mean, hardware is one obstacle. For some learners, they actually don't have a laptop with them, so they have to learn via their mobile device. So that is a difficult thing, but it's still doable. But we recommend that if you do want to get on board online learning over a long period, virtual classes, let's say, it's best to have desktop or laptop as well as a mobile device, because sometimes some things happen on the desktop, some things happen on the mobile. So that creates the best learning environment. And for sometimes the home environment, right now, most of us are working from home, it can be noisy. So,
yes,
we need to find a way, to carve out a quiet place. So for people with homes that have lots of noise, children and all that, it can be difficult. But with earphones and all, maybe you can shut out the noise and unmute when you need to speak.
Yeah, and sometimes we hear stories, right, actually, of people who maybe have unfortunate accidents or intrusions. And do you have any to share with us about this kind of instance and maybe what we can learn from that?
Oh, yeah. Well, once we had this learner, she was online in the class, and I think it's probably one of the few earlier first encounters on online learning, and it's new for the family. So I think the husband came by to peep, what's going on.
Like stare at the screen.
Stare at the screen. And then he walked into the room, bare chested, and he was just peeping. And then the rest of the class is like, ooh. That was quite funny, a bit of comic relief for the class.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
So I mean, for situations like this, it's best to use a virtual background. Yeah. So that's one thing. Yeah, then another obstacle is network issues. I mean, for Singapore, it may not be so bad because most of us can have access to broadband. But however, during the circuit breaker period, actually there was a massive breakdown of the broadband connection island-wide.
Yeah.
So it's important to have a backup mobile data device access ready. Yeah. So yeah, those are some of the obstacles. Benefits, with online learning available, actually opens new doors. I mean, those people who, we are able to access learning that is not just in Singapore. We can access learning, join an online class that's in another country. If you can find the suitable time zone, or if you don't mind waking up at certain times. So it's you can attend any course anywhere in the world, and then for L&D you can easily hold a training session across the region. So everyone just log in and learn, and the people can also interact together. We find that we can even do some kind of team building to some extent in online environment as well.
Yeah, and I think one of the things you mentioned on this point is about really, scaling, not just in terms of numbers, but maybe in terms of the types of audience you can reach. So do you have any examples or instances to share with us where, because we've gone online, we've been able to connect with people that maybe traditionally we wouldn't so regularly see in some of our learning and development courses?
We have one client where they actually pulled in staff from different parts of the region to join in. So before that, they were having a headache, how can we organize training, and they don't have that many numbers to create a class. Economically it may not be so viable to just fly a trainer over or fly them you can fly one or two over. So you can, because a virtual class is available, and they just have to block that time, and people from the different regions can come in to share, and they learn from each other. It's it allows them to get to know their colleagues from another part of the region as well. So that was really good.
Absolutely. So I think definitely you mentioned that there's some very real obstacles to look out for. And of course, some of this hardware stuff is, as we get used to this new normal, hopefully a lot of these resources become more accessible. and we can clear those obstacles quickly to really then capitalize on the benefits. I want to move us along in this conversation now, because I think what we've really started to uncover is that there are a lot of excellent opportunities for us to capitalize on in this new normal. But some of us may feel like we're kind of playing catch up, right? The new normal is upon us, and only now we're hearing how to capitalize. So could you share with us some thoughts on looking ahead, foreseeable trends for us to get ready to capitalize on so that we are ready for the next big thing, so to say?
From this COVID experience, we can see that virtual learning is here to stay because of its convenience. You can save so much on traveling, you can save so much time, and it's interactive as opposed to just downloading information from just kind of e-learning, asynchronous e-learning kind of learning. So that's definitely something that we need to prepare for. And for L&D people who need to prepare their staff, there are a few things they need to ensure. They need to ensure that their staff have access to a laptop. If not, maybe they can have some spare ones that different staff can borrow when they are going on for online training, and also to ensure that their staff have stable internet connections.
Yep.
Also to check if the people are ready. I mean, those who are familiar with web conferencing, it's not an issue, but there are some staff who do not do so much of these kinds of interactions. So a briefing to get the tech issues out of the way, that will save a lot of time during class. And also with virtual learning, it also actually opens up a convenient way to do follow-up. It's less time consuming to meet online. So, if you follow up the training with small group discussions to share about application issues and all that, so it's so much easier for them to meet. So you don't have to come down physically somewhere to do a follow-up session. You can just arrange a certain time, you click, you're on it, and then an hour later you're off. So these are some benefits and to some things you can do to prepare for this virtual training.
So it definitely sounds like we have a lot of things to look forward to in terms of, again, the accessibility, the scalability of this new normal of learning. But there is some preparation, right? Maybe just a little bit that can be done to really help you and your organization and your people be ready to really reap and optimize the benefits of this new normal. I want to talk a little bit about, how about individuals who maybe aren't so familiar. You talk a bit about the hardware. Maybe you can just reiterate or re-emphasize what is the kind of mentality that would be really helpful to helping these individuals get used to this new normal of learning.
For individuals who are not comfortable with web conferencing or digital tools, actually it's time to just get on and try. It's not, you can get the younger ones to help you, those.
It's a good idea.
All those in their 20s easily, or even younger ones, even, the kids, they are doing home-based learning.
That's
so
right.
They are also familiar with the tools. So you just get on, play around and fiddle with it, and you can just get into it. And, for individuals, actually the world is, there's a saying that says, the world is your oyster, and you can explore training that's way beyond our Singapore shores. There's e-learning available, there's webinars from all around the world, and there's podcasts like this. You can just, tune in, to listen to experts, to the community people sharing. Actually, there's a whole library of free e-learning that's available to Singaporeans, to paid courses. Actually, if you sign in with your library card to the e-resources at NLB, you can access e-learning there, and there's so many things you can learn learn about for free. So that's one big area you can exploit without even touching your Skills Future Fund. Well, that said, I want to point out that even though there's this prevalence of virtual learning, in-person training or learning is still necessary for certain types of content. especially those that need more human interaction. Serious team building, team bonding sessions must still take place face-to-face. Remote teams, we know that remote teams need to come together regularly in a face-to-face environment to interact. That while there's much good in virtual, there's also a lot of benefits in in-person training. So it doesn't mean that now we have virtual training, we can forget about in-person training. These two must coexist. Yeah.
Absolutely. Great. I think just to really help our listeners to catch a lot of the gems from your sharing right there, Kim, is to really remind us that a community has opened up to us, right? That there's so many resources, there's so many people that you can connect with because of how everything is now being hosted online. But in a sort of ironic way, or maybe not ironic way, community is also the same thing we must remember even as we go online, that there are certain things that are really best done still in person, like that relationship building that is still so necessary even as we bring so much of our content and our learning online. So thank you very much, Kim, for all your insights on learning in light of our new norms. And thank you to all of our listeners as we wrap up this podcast. We really appreciate your time here with us and hope that this has given you insights on how to capitalize on the excellent learning opportunities our new norms have brought about. Do look out for our next cast on reinventing yourself in the new norm, which is all about upskilling yourself in light of the digitalization norms that have been brought about in recent times. And we will catch you next time on the Capel Podcast. Bye-bye.